Welcome back to Versus Chronicles, the infinite fight.
Yeah, back for more.
Episode 2.
Round 2.
And this time, we've got a battle
Oh, yeah.
that's going to chill you to the bone.
Ooh, I like that.
We're talking Dr. Octopus
From the Marvel Universe.
versus Mr. Freeze,
From DC Comics.
two scientific geniuses
Both twisted by tragic pasts.
into a life of crime.
It's gonna be epic.
So let's start by breaking down these complex characters.
Sounds good.
First up, Dr. Octopus.
Real name, Otto Octavius.
He started out as a brilliant
Kind of awkward.
nuclear physicist.
Until, of course,
The inevitable lab
the
accident.
classic comic book trope
It's amazing how one event,
can completely change a character's destiny.
absolutely, for Doc Ock.
That accident fused 4 powerful mechanical arms to his body.
And it's not just the physical transformation that's significant,
Right. It's almost like those arms became an extension of his mind.
but also of his darker impulses.
Exactly. The accident amplified his insecurities, twisting his brilliance.
Into this obsession with power,
Suddenly, he's driven to prove he's the smartest guy in the room.
but in the most destructive way possible.
A classic example of how even the brightest minds can be corrupted.
Now, let's turn our attention to the other side of the equation.
To the master of ice,
Mr. Freeze,
Victor Fry,
a brilliant cryogenicist.
devoted to his wife, Nora.
Yeah, and this is where the line between hero and villain gets blurry,
Definitely.
because Mr. Freeze is driven by love.
By a desperate need to save the woman he loves.
So he becomes this tragic figure, willing to do almost anything
Even commit crimes.
to save his wife,
It really makes you think about the extremes we'd go to for love.
for the people we care about most.
Absolutely. It raises questions about science, compassion,
Right.
and the justifications we make for our actions.
All right. Let's get down to business, shall we?
Let's do it.
Powers and abilities. Doc Ock's got those 4 mechanical arms.
Incredible strength.
They can crush steel, lift tons,
Operate independently.
and give him enhanced durability.
It's like having 4 extra limbs with minds of their own.
Yeah, and those arms,
They're not just brute force.
Right.
They're also symbols of Doc Ock's brilliance, his need for control.
so it's not just about raw power, it's about precision and strategy.
Exactly.
Check out the Amazing Spider-Man #3 from 1963.
Ooh, a classic.
Doc Ock totally outmaneuvers and overpowers Spider-Man in their first encounter.
It's brutal.
Right.
A clear sign that Doc Ock is a force to be reckoned with.
Now, Mr. Freeze, he's got his own unique set of skills and weaponry,
Oh, yeah.
starting with his iconic cryogenic suit,
Gives him superhuman strength,
and lets him survive in sub-zero temperatures.
like a walking refrigerator.
And then there's that freeze gun,
A weapon that has sent chills down the spines of countless heroes.
literally. In Detective Comics #373,
Oh.
he actually traps Batman in a block of ice.
Classic freeze.
That issue really showed his strategic brilliance.
Yeah, he's not just about freezing things.
Right.
He's a master tactician who uses his knowledge to turn the environment against his enemies.
So we've got Doc Ock with his agility, mechanical mastery, and genius-level intellect.
Yeah.
And Mr. Freeze, who manipulates the environment with ice-based tech.
Using his knowledge of cryogenics as a weapon.
It's a fascinating contrast to styles.
Definitely. Doc Ock is chaotic, fast, overwhelming.
Right.
And Mr. Freeze is more methodical, controlled,
Right.
using his knowledge of science to create these frozen traps.
And what's interesting is that both characters are driven by a sense of isolation.
That's a great point.
Dr. Octopus is literally fused to those arms, separating him from everyone else.
Trapped in his own twisted creation.
And then you've got Mr. Freeze,
Yeah.
forced to live in this sub-zero world.
Unable to experience things like everyone else.
And that isolation fuels his actions.
Totally. He
Yeah.
creates his own icy world where he can be with Nora.
Even if it means shutting out everyone else.
A world of ice and cold, a reflection of his inner turmoil.
So both characters are prisoners of their own conditions.
It makes their rivalry even more complex.
And it makes you wonder if things could have been different for them,
If they'd found acceptance, use their brilliance for good.
Right. It makes you think.
The age-old question. Nature versus nurture. It's amazing how both these characters, Dr. Octopus and Mr. Freeze,
Yeah.
despite their different powers and motivations,
Yeah.
they both seem to embody this need for control.
That's interesting.
Hmm.
What do you mean by that?
Well, think about Doc Ock, right?
Yeah.
He wants control through his intellect, through technology.
Yeah.
Those arms, they represent his desire to dominate, to bend the world to his will.
Yeah, I see that. He's always scheming, always trying to outsmart everyone.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then you've got Mr. Freeze.
Right.
He seeks control in a different way, right?
Right.
Over the environment, over nature itself.
He freezes everything, creates ice barriers.
Exactly. He turns the whole battlefield into his own domain.
So it's like they're both trying to impose order on chaos, but in different ways.
Exactly. One through technology, the other through manipulation of nature.
So if these two were to face off, it would be quite the clash.
Oh, absolutely. A clash of styles, of intellects.
So let's imagine this epic showdown.
Okay, I'm ready.
Picture a sprawling cityscape, skyscrapers, alleys, open plazas.
I like it, a real urban battleground.
Yeah, like Gotham City meets New York.
Perfect.
Now, in that kind of environment, Doc Ock would have the advantage.
Oh, definitely.
Batman.
With those arms, he could swing between buildings, scale walls.
Like a metallic spider monkey.
Exactly. But Mr. Freeze, he could use that environment to his advantage, too.
How so?
Think about it. He could use his freeze gun to create obstacles.
Right. Freeze water pipes, make things slippery.
Exactly. He could turn those alleys into ice tunnels, those plazas into frozen battlefields.
Oh, wow. So Doc Ock's agility would actually become a problem.
Yeah, it could backfire on him. And that's where Mr. Freeze's strategy shines.
Right. He's not just trying to overpower Doc Ock, he's trying to outsmart him.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Using the environment to neutralize Doc Ock's strengths.
Doc Ock would have to think fast, adapt to these changing conditions.
For sure. He might try to use his arms to generate heat, melt the ice.
Oh, smart. Create pockets of warmth.
Exactly. But you know, Mr. Freeze, he'd be anticipating that he might set traps, icy pitfalls designed to exploit those arms.
Oh, man. That's cold. Literally.
He could create a blizzard, blind Doc Ock, disorient him.
So it becomes this mental chess match, right?
Absolutely. A battle of wits as much as a physical confrontation.
So let's not forget their emotional baggage.
Yeah. That plays a huge role, too.
I mean, Doc Ock's need for recognition, his desire to prove himself,
It could make him reckless.
and Mr. Freeze's obsession with saving his wife.
Could push him to extremes.
Imagine Mr. Freeze just unleashing the full power of his freeze gun.
Creating a citywide ice storm.
Devastating. But wouldn't that also put innocent lives at risk?
That's the dilemma, right? Mr. Freeze cares about humanity.
But his methods can be extreme.
He's this complex character torn between his love for Nora and his concern for others.
It's what makes him so compelling.
Yeah, he's more than just a villain.
It's a reminder that even in comics, the lines between good and evil can be blurry.
Absolutely. And the choices we make can have unintended consequences.
You know, speaking of complex motivations,
Yeah,
let's talk about some specific storylines that really showcase these characters.
sounds good. What do you have in mind?
Well, for Doc Ock, there's that classic Master Planner saga.
Oh, yeah, from the Amazing Spider-Man comics.
Exactly. It shows just how cunning and manipulative Doc Ock can be.
He comes up with this elaborate plan, hinges on Spider-Man saving Aunt May,
It really highlights their rivalry.
and Spider-Man's unwavering heroism.
It's a classic for a reason.
Absolutely. It elevates Doc Ock beyond just being a villain.
And for Mr. Freeze, I immediately think of Heart of Ice.
Oh, from Batman, the animated series.
Yeah. That episode redefined Mr. Freeze, gave him this tragic backstory.
It's a masterpiece. It shows his love for Nora, his desperation.
It's heartbreaking, but also so well done.
It humanized him, made him relatable.
And solidified him as one of Batman's greatest foes.
For sure.
You know, it's interesting how both these stories,
Yeah.
they reveal these moments of brilliance and humanity in these characters.
Yeah, even in their darkest moments.
It makes their stories all the more tragic.
Like they're trapped in this cycle of pain and isolation.
And it makes you wonder, you know,
What if things had been different?
right, what if they had found acceptance?
It's a question that lingers.
Now let's talk about another one of Mr. Freeze's defining storylines.
Okay, which one?
Batman, Snow.
Oh, that's a good one. It really delves into his origins.
Yeah, it explores his descent into villainy.
How his desperation to save Nora led him down this dark path.
It's a powerful story about love, loss, and the choices we make.
And it raises questions about ethics and the consequences of our actions.
Because Freeze pushes the boundaries of science to try and save Nora.
But in doing so, he crosses lines he can't come back from.
And that brings us to another parallel between him and Dr. Octopus.
Oh, interesting. What's that?
They both represent the dangers of unchecked ambition.
I see that.
Doc Ock with his thirst for intellectual dominance,
Yeah.
and Mr. Freeze manipulating nature with cryogenics.
They both show how knowledge and power, when misused, can have devastating consequences.
A cautionary tale.
A reminder that great power comes with great responsibility.
A theme that resonates in comics and in real life.
Okay.
So we've really dug deep into these characters, their origins, their powers, their motivations.
Yeah, it's been quite the journey.
But now, for the question that's been on everyone's mind,
A big one.
in a fight, who would win? Dr. Octopus or Mr. Freeze?
The age-old question. And it's a tough one, you know?
Right. I mean, Doc Ock's got those mechanical arms, that agility, that super genius brain.
And Mr. Freeze has mastery over ice, that cryogenic suit, and of course that freeze gun.
Yeah. So how do we even begin to analyze this?
Well, I think the environment would be a major factor.
Right. Because they both use their surroundings to their advantage.
Exactly. So let's say, hypothetically, they're battling in a dense urban environment.
Okay, like a city.
Yeah, with skyscrapers, alleys, those tight spaces.
I could see it. Doc Ock would be in his element there, right?
No, totally. He could swing around, climb those buildings.
Like a mechanical monkey.
Exactly. But then Mr. Freeze, he could use that environment too.
Yeah, he could freeze everything.
Exactly. Turn those alleys into ice tunnels, those streets into skating rinks.
So Doc Ock's agility could actually work against him.
Yeah, he could slip up, literally, and Mr. Freeze could trap him.
Oh, I see. So it's not just about brute force. It's about using the environment strategically.
Right. It's a game of chess.
And don't forget the mental game, too, right?
Oh, that's crucial. Doc Ock's need for recognition, his ego, could lead him to make mistakes.
And Mr. Freeze's determination to save his wife, that could make him unpredictable.
Exactly. He might do something desperate, something reckless.
Like what?
I don't know. Maybe unleash the full power of his freeze gun, create a massive ice storm.
Wow. That would be devastating.
But it could also put innocent lives at risk.
And that's the thing with Mr. Freeze, right?
Yeah.
He's not just some evil ice monster. He actually cares about people.
He does. It's just his methods are extreme.
He's driven by love, but it's a love that can be destructive.
And that's what makes him so interesting, you know? He's not a simple villain.
Right, there's a lot more going on beneath the surface.
And that's the beauty of these characters, isn't it? They're complex.
They're not just good or evil, they're human.
And that's what makes them so compelling.
So who would win? I don't know, it's really a toss-up.
It depends on so many factors.
The environment, their strategies, their state of mind.
It's a battle for the ages.
Thanks for tuning in. Further's Chronicles, The Infinite Fight. Subscribe, review, and join us next time for more legendary battles and deeper dives into the multiverse.
See you in the next fight.